This is technically a sequel because when we did this list, we talked about underrated sci-fi movies. Now, in a way, these are underrated sci-fi movies.
Would you call this a reboot?
No.
Soft reboot?
No.
Reimagining?
Reawakening. While this list is full of sci-fi movies, we're actually talking about summer blockbusters that bombed at the box office. Hard sentence to say.
But ...
But they're good. Well, let's not say good. They probably shouldn't have failed at the box office.
Better than what than people gave them credit for.
And some of these are really successful on like the home media market.
Yeah.
And let's start with one of them.
Okay.
Event Horizon.
Yeah.
We've teased talking about this for a long time. I've probably cut it out of many videos of us teasing. We'll talk about it another time. Event Horizon. Perhaps Paul W.S. Anderson's only good movie.
That's crazy when Mortal Kombat's right there.
Well, it's bad, but in a good way.
Yeah.
But this is like, what if a spaceship was evil and also was a portal to hell?
Yeah.
That's all you really need to know about the movie. In fact, probably didn't even need to know that. It's great going in not knowing.
Not knowing.
But it's got Sam Neill.
Yep.
Lawrence Fishburne. A couple other people.
Yep.
But the visuals in this movie are amazing. If it's 97, it's going up against like Lost World and other Men in Black maybe. So I had a lot of competition.
Yeah.
$60 million budget, made somewhere between $25 to $40 million at the box office. Sci-fi is hard to sell. Trailers usually don't do sci-fi
sci-fi
justice.
horror is...
And sci-fi horror is
in the middle of summer. But this is, I think, what opens that door. Like, this is him walking through a door that he never, like, leaves behind.
And then he does the Resident
Evil, he does Death Race.
And it just goes off the trail. But hey, I mean, people like those movies, so...
Whatever.
He's got his fan base.
It is a weird summer blockbuster pick.
Yes. It is definitely, like... It's wild that it's a summer blockbuster.
I feel like summer blockbusters really came into their own in the 90s, where you're like, we're like, studios were like, we've got to get some really good things in the summer. You know, like... Blockbusters had existed, and there's Jaws, there's Star Wars, there's Back to the Future.
But I think it took Hollywood a very long time to figure out what was a blockbuster.
Yeah, and this is like the beginning. This is the rise of Will Smith. It owns the summer.
Oh yeah,
you know.
He begins.
But to also be like, you know what? Like, people love aliens. What if we did space, but not aliens?
Yeah,
demons, hell, Satan.
Just full on insanity, hell insanity, right? And it's great because there's a great part in it. A lot of people have already talked this about on the internet. Lawrence Fishburne, they hear the message, and he's like, "No, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here." Unfortunately, they can't. But you know, so if you haven't seen it, please watch it. Let's stay in space.
Okay.
And let's talk about Titan AE.
Titan AE. Yeah.
Before you start, your diatribe had a $75 million budget.
Yep.
Whiffed it at the box office, $36 million.
It's Fox Studios, Fox Animation Studios, or 20th Century Anime, whatever it's called. And I think this is what Bluth goes to, and this movie shuts down the whole company.
Yeah,
that's how big of a. They're like, you guys had a nice run,
can't recover.
Maybe it was the lit in the soundtrack that really did it in. Earth is dying, and there is a ship called the Titan that is sent up into space, and everyone is evacuating Earth. And the Titan is pretty much, it has like animals, it has food, it has like all like DNA for things to like restart life on another Earth, or to like, actually I think the whole thing is it creates an Earth somewhere else.
Noah's Ark, but in space.
Yeah, but it gets lost. No one knows where it's at. And Matt Damon plays a character who his dad was the guy who like flew it off, who created it, flew it off and got lost.
Yeah.
He is now tasked with like searching for it, and it's got awesome cast. It's got Damon, it's got Drew Barrymore, it's got Alec Baldwin. It's just unique and it's weird, and there's weird aliens in it. No, sorry, there's like weird bad guy aliens that are really unique. They're kind of like electric. It's just, I remember watching as a kid and be like, this kind of rules.
It is not as bad as the marketing was.
No.
I wouldn't say, if you're thinking about like animated movies, it's not going to be like in your top 10.
No.
But it's going to be like one of those movies you put on and you can watch it.
Yeah.
And not have a bad time.
Well, I think too, I think at the time you're getting more like.
This is when Pixar's blowing up. So
yeah, it's like this is like Pixar's blowing up, and like people weren't, at least American audiences weren't just like latching on to like Miyazaki like they have now. Like it's definitely more of not a grown up animation movie, but it definitely has. It's actiony. It's probably closer to more the Final Fantasy animated movie that just also whiffed.
Another box office. Hollywood was on the right track of focusing on the teenage audience towards animated. The unfortunate reality is all the cool teenage animated stuff was already on Cartoon Network and other stations. So it's like, why go out to a movie theater when I can just watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
Yeah. Or it was like maybe really in that peak moment of, well, that's probably not good to watch. Like, you shouldn't watch that. It's probably inappropriate. Yeah. Like, the cartoons can't be like that, you know? And so you had to wait till midnight to watch it on TV, you know?
Let's stick in space. Let's stay in space. Well, we're going to keep going in space.
We're going to Mars?
We're going to Mars for John Carter of Mars. Yep. I will not call it just John Carter because that's a terrible... Yeah. The whole reason this movie bombed, one, bad marketing. Yeah. Two, they changed the title of the movie. Yeah. Not that John Carter of Mars was any better, but at least it had some substance to it. $263 million budget. Yeah. Absolute humongous budget for this type of movie. Yeah. With Taylor Kitsch, who had no box office cachet at all.
This is when they were trying to make him happen. They were like, Taylor Kitsch was the guy. He's like, you're a star. But it's also like Andrew Stanton before, like his first kind of live action, not proven. It's like, let's get the guy from Finding Nemo to make him take a movie about space. Yeah. About Space Jesus.
Space Jesus, basically. Well, if it was successful.
Yeah.
It ended up making $282 million at the box office, which, made its budget back. But you would count all the other stuff, Hollywood stuff. This movie, Willem Dafoe is playing pre-Aquaman. He's playing raising John Carter up to understand the world of Mars. Mars has lighter gravity than Earth. Gives John Carter powers, and he basically becomes the savior of the enslaved portion of this alien race.
John Carter predates things like Dune. Yeah. He predates Superman, but is a direct influence on both things. Yep. A lot of other things, and you're just like, nah, don't care. Yeah. Well, I'll just go watch Superman instead. Which again, understandable. Is it the best movie? No. Is it cool? Yeah, a little bit. It's just fun. Just check it out. I mean, he falls asleep. I can't remember if he fights for the Confederacy, if he fights for the Union.
He's definitely
He's a Civil War soldier. Mm-hmm. Escapes to a cave, and he's transported to Mars. Yeah. And then the rest is
hijinks ensue. But very, very slowly. Yeah. This movie was marketed like how they marketed Drive. So only action's happening. What John Carter does is it does more of a Dune thing where it doesn't really explain a lot to you. Yeah. You have to sort of figure it out or just hope that you understand it correctly. Yeah.
They just weren't ready yet.
They weren't ready, but also Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah, Taylor Kitsch is not. He's no Timmy. Yeah.
He's a great actor. Yeah. But during the start of his career, post Friday Night Lights, he struggled a bit as an actor. And having seen it in theaters, the end of the movie, you could just feel this cacophony of, what? Yeah. What did I just watch? Yeah. People weren't sure if it was good or not. Yeah. And when you're not sure, you usually say it's bad.
Funny of Disney to be they're like, you know what the problem here is? Mars. Struck Mars.
Speaking of Disney. Yeah. Should we go to Tomorrowland?
I think we should because it's a very similar story.
Very similar.
Where you have... Oh, sorry. You hit the numbers first.
$170 million budget. Mm-hmm. $206 million return. Not bad. Still a failure.
Failure when you think about that Disney for years has tried to copy the success of Pirates. Yes. That they are, let's take a property, from our parks, let's give it a story. Mm-hmm. Let's give it to not an auteur, but some kind of visionary of whether it's Gore Verbinski or Jerry Bruckheimer. Let's give it to
who's had a little success.
Who has a style to them. Mm-hmm. I'd even say it's not on this list, but Jungle Cruise, not a bad movie, falls victim to the same thing. Yeah. It's just they get excited, and then like halfway through, they're like, I don't know what this movie is or who it's for. We should just not market it well.
Yeah.
No, but Tomorrowland, this is Brad Bird, similar to Andrew Stanton, but Brad Bird did have one thing going for him, Ghost Protocol.
That's true.
So he was like hot off Ghost Protocol. Yeah. He's not even taking a ride. He's taking an idea of Walt Disney's of like, what if there was a perfect future? What if there was a perfect place where inventors and scientists and just could meet and make the world a better place? And that is not what you get at all. It's got George Clooney in it. George Clooney, who had not had like a hit in a while, I don't think.
Also hadn't
been in much.
Yeah.
He's only doing projects he wants to do. You have George Clooney, who you're trying to sell the movie on, but you're also trying to sell it on mystery. And you know what? You know who we're forgetting about?
Who?
Damon Lindelof.
Oh, yes.
Who at the moment had reached a real point of like, dude, we are so tired of like being teased mysteries.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem with Lindelof.
Yeah.
It's like he couldn't nail a good ending ever.
Yeah.
To this day, I would argue.
But I will tell you, I think it's a movie that kind of rules. That if you go back and I believe me, I was there day one, watching it and being like, I don't know if I like this. Yeah. And then rewatching, I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of cool things here. There's a lot of great action set pieces. There's some fun things in here. Is it always the best? No. But you know what? I also love a good retro-y feeling sci-fi movie.
You are into that.
I do love like, what if we had laser blasters? I would go more like, it is very much in the vein of like, Bird is throwing back to those like original Witch Mountain movies.
Okay.
Those kind of like 70s, 80s, lower budget sci-fi movies that were kid friendly. And you're like,
Flash Gordon.
It is. There are like very like little things of Flash Gordon and like the Black Hole, and it's fun. You should just check it out.
All right, let's go to Speed Racer.
Okay.
The Wachowskis, known for The Matrix, swings wildly post-Matrix and just does whatever they want. Yeah. And Speed Racer is perhaps the biggest proof of this.
Yeah.
Box office failure, 120 million budget, 93 in the box office. Yeah. No one understood at the time why. Everyone.
Well, I can tell you
why.
Do you know what comes out either the week before or the week after?
No, I don't remember.
Iron Man.
That's true.
So this is the summer of Iron Man and the Dark Knight.
Which just destroyed.
Yeah.
This movie, I will say, people love it. Yeah. It is a cult classic.
I love it.
I will warn people, if you plan to watch this movie and you get motion sick, buckle in. You better take some Dramamine, because this thing, I can't finish it. It's just it makes me want to throw up how much the camera's moving.
It rolls, definitely. No, this is a legit, like, this movie, if you do some reading on it, if you like the original Speed Racer, if you do some reading, if you kind of like try to comprehend what the Wachowskis are, it's not hard to comprehend either. It's a pretty easy thing to understand what they're saying about corporate America in this movie. It looks cool. It is always moving. Like, there is not a single, like, it is, I think the idea is like, if you laid it out, it would just, there would be no like cut. It would just be like, with the transitions and everything, there's something always on screen that's happening. And it's just really neat.
But yes, it does feel exactly like the cartoon.
Yeah.
Just total to the wall.
Yeah.
And goes through the wall, Kool-Aid Man style, and then just goes on a trip.
Yeah. And again, legit, cry at the end of it. It's so good.
But people love it. It's a cult classic, 100%.
I was there, again, another movie I was there like opening night with my dad, like just like, and was like, this movie rules.
If I had seen this in a movie theater, I would have thrown up for real. All right, let's get to our final one. Not the final, but the last one we're talking about. I want to talk about Vin Diesel's magnum opus, The Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
$120 million budget, $107 million at the box office. So, Pitch Black, very low-key, cult classic sci-fi. The world is dark. Riddick can see at night. He leads a bunch of people.
Big old bugs.
He's an anti-hero trying to save the day. He doesn't really want to, but in the end he does, because he has a little bit of a heart. He's like the Grinch. His heart grows 3 sizes. So you think, a sequel to Pitch Black, it wouldn't be a world epic fantasy, sci-fi fantasy epic where the bad guys are half dead, half alive. Judi Dench is a ghost lady. Judi Dench. Carl Urban's in it as one of the half dead.
Carl,
Dondoy Newton's also in it. It's just and then Vin Diesel ends up becoming the savior of the universe reluctantly. It is perhaps one of the stupidest movies in existence, but it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Riddick is in jail, breaks out, gets caught again, breaks out of that. It's just constant, like, it's the joke of Vin Diesel. It's like he can't take a punch in a movie or whatever. I think this is the beginning of that, where Vin Diesel as Riddick just has to look the coolest all the time, always.
I mean, he does look pretty cool.
Yeah. The set design in this movie is amazing.
But I'll tell you, I'll give it to Vin on this one. That, like, I know he loves these movies.
Yeah.
And also for him to be like, I love this so much, but also I want to throw just some of the, like, nerdiest stuff in here.
And it's amazing.
Like, I know that Pitch Black pitched like a horror movie. Mm-hmm. Like, plays like a horror movie.
Yeah.
What if we, like, legit just made, like, some Shakespearean nerd, like, world building action?
And you don't expect it.
Yeah, you don't.
Because the audience didn't expect it.
It's like they could have easily, and I think what they kind of do this in Riddick.
Yeah.
And they kind of go back to that little bit of the Pitch Black formula. But to just, sometimes you got to give it to them for just trying, for just swinging for the fences.
It is a movie I've seen more than 10 times.
Yeah.
It is one of those, it's like a Star Wars movie, but it had like no like phenomenon around it.
Yeah.
It is like, it's in its own little phantom zone, wanting to break out to find its audience, which I think it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan. I think sci-fi people that are just watch all sci-fi movies love this movie.
Yeah.
But general audience, never going to get this movie. No. And I mean, it's a bomb for a reason.
You know those memories when you're like, I remember vividly where you were, like when something happened. Like I remember being, and this is going to be very Arkansas. I remember being in the Burger King on Markham when you used to be the Burger King, and it was like a gas station. It was a gas station that had Burger King. I remember being in that Burger King. For some reason, there was a newspaper where it had all the entertainment section, and like the headline was like,
"Well, back in the day, all these places had newspapers."
And the headline was that like how big of a bomb this thing was, and just being like, "Whew!" And it was bad. Like that's how like ingrained that moment and that movie is into like my childhood. That I'm like, I can tell you exactly the moment where I'm like, "Whew, and not good."
No, and thanks to the Fast and Furious universe, we got a sequel that was good. Also helped Batista sort of get into Hollywood. Yes. Underrated sci-fi movies, but also box office bombs that are good.
Listen, we didn't mean to I was legit trying to pick some movies that were like, but again, when you talk, the caveat is that you have to at least, there has to be redeemable.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, Geely, like you can't just throw Geely on the list.
But also we're saving some movies like Josie and the Pussycats and maybe Xanadu.
Sure.
Crawl.
Sure.
Other movies. We're saving other movies for different videos.
Crawl. Yeah.
Because we want to talk in a different context. So, there's other box office bombs out there that are great.
Oh, and again, this was summer too.
Yes,
like that.
We
put like 3 caveats on here that made it kind of hard.
Look, we gotta save videos. We're gonna run out of ideas at some point. In fact, we already did. We came up with this, yesterday?
Yesterday.